Alright, you lot.
This week's inbox looked like a Warzone patch note and smelled like EA's ethics department. Battlefield's back from dead with more duct tape than gameplay. Black Ops 7's whispering sweet monetization threats. And someone had cheek to ask what it's like gaming with my own kid. You get more sympathy asking Gordon Ramsay for dating advice. And before you get comfy, we're diving headfirst into XDefiant, Delta Force, my actual health, and a 4-alarm fire disguised as online safety act. One of you even asked my favourite Pokémon, which feels like fate, but I took it seriously. I'll take each of your spicy little thought grenades and slam them back with interest. Like, subscribe and all that bollocks. This is Scotty. Once again, you glorious bastards have brought chaos. Let's have it. Drawn their ass. Battlefield 6 goes on a yearly basis. What do you think will happen? Same as COD? In 2 years, unicorn skins? If Battlefield 6 goes annual, it's gaming equivalent to pissing into a wind tunnel and wondering why your boots are wet. Annual releases mean factory line game dev. No time for innovation. No room for recovery. Just copy-paste with shinier particle effects and new gun with same recoil script. Tomb Raider learnt the hard way. That franchise face planted cause some suit thought calendars were more important than creativity. Assassin's Creed lost plot so hard it needed a bloody DNA test to remember what genre it started in. And Call of Duty? That's crown jewel of corporate necromancy. Same game, different shovel. 1 year it's boots on ground, next it's jetpacks and dog NFTs. Then back to World War II, but with neon gloves and EDM kill streaks. You go annual, you stop making games, you start churning product. Battlefield used to mean something. Sound design like thunder in your skull. Maps you could write folk songs about. Squad play tighter than a Yorkshireman's wallet. But if they go yearly, you can kiss all that goodbye. It'll be rainbow unicorn tanks with premium sparkle camo and a get good battle pass tier that adjusts difficulty based on your spending habits. And yeah, I smell SBMM manipulation on wind. Same slop Activision cooked up. Tank a few rounds, get easier lobbies, feel powerful, then get stomped till you open your wallet. No proof yet, but patterns there like wet footprints outside a locked server room. EA could prove me wrong. They could slow pace, focus on depth, not drip feed, and let Battlefield breathe again. But I've seen this movie before and ending's always monetized. Cheers for that and drawn that. Whether you meant it for show or not, it deserved airtime. Asian Persuasion asks, Scotty, I've been waiting for this. First off, what's your thoughts on drama around next COD trailer or whatnot? Also, do you think games will ever be what they used to be for people? A safe space to have fun. I'm afraid we're heading for a generation of gaming that's just a cash cow. It's not about players anymore. Thoughts on this topic? Right, first up, let's clear air like a smoke grenade in a COD lobby. What drama around next Call of Duty trailer? I want drama. I want digital funeral procession. Nobody kicked off. Nobody raged, because nobody bloody cares anymore. Loudest thing about that trailer was sound of people refunding the pre-orders. Black Ops 7 looked like it was stitched together from old Warzone clips and TikTok filters. All things screamed creative bankruptcy. You want receipts? Steam's top seller chart. At time of recording, as Black Ops 7 sitting down at 202. That's not launch buzz. That's a tactical nuke to morale. COD Hub? That's down at 246. You'd have better visibility launching a game through a serial box QR code. Meanwhile, Battlefield 6 is breathing down necks at number 11. Gears of War Reloaded is climbing at 13. Even 2042, game they nearly abandoned, is sat at 19. Delta Force? Bless it. It's getting attention at 65. Playerbase is finally wecking hell up. Years of loot boxes, rigged SBMM, 30 quid skin packs, and battle passes stacked like Vegas slot machine. People are finally saying, enough. Can games go back to be fun? Safe spaces where only thing you fear is a lag spike and a guy running a flamethrower? Absolutely, but only if players stop lying to themselves. You can't take what COD has become and still bite next to them. You can't complain about pay to win and still drop 20 on a neon gun skin just cause your favourite streamer said it were meta. These publishers are only rich cause we keep tipping bloody till. Want games to go back? Make noise. Be that loud angry gobshite in the mentions. Beat Thorn Insider every community manager spinning PR for another half-baked launch. Back indie devs who gear toss. Shout until suits realise silence don't mean loyalty. It means we're plotting an exodus. Cheers for question, mate. That didn't even need a warm-up. On to next. Birkenellas. Hey Scotty, we're aware you play with your son, but who is better FPS player and which game are you better than him? Right, here's kicker. That lad of mine can absolutely shred when he's locked in. Sit him in front of a PC with half-decent ping and a vague objective and you'll swear he were raised by Spartan. But let's not be daft. We're closer in skill than KD ratios would suggest. He hovers between 1.2 and 1.8. I'm somewhere in war crime zone of 0.5 to 0.8. Statistically, I should be using a white flag as a secondary weapon, but one-on-one, when I'm dialed in, I've still got instincts to drop him. He returns favour, often enough mind, and that's beauty of it. It's not a bloody leaderboard, it's a battle of brains, not just thumbs. Now throw me eldest into the ring, 3.2 KD, not padded either. That's earned, match after match. Lad's a monster, but again, I can still put him on his ass if I catch zone. And that right there is proof KD's a piss poor metric for skill. It tracks kills, not clutch. You can farm bots, play it safe, count corners with a marksman rifle and a tin of beans. Don't mean you got game sense. Don't mean you're a better player. Just means you've got better numbers, probably worse breath. They both run keyboard and mouse. I'm on controller. No aim assist, just raw sticks and instinct. I'm not out here chasing clips. I'm just running around shooting ultimate booms, friend or foe. But when I'm locked in, that's when fun stops and tactics start. I flip from headless chicken to squad leader mode. Suddenly, we're a coordinated meat grinder. Me on objective, both lads locking down angles like laser turrets on crack. We've taken full squads apart like expired IKEA furniture. You get a KD god and enemy team? Great, still lost. Scoreboard says so. And on that note, let's talk about Peanut Gallery. Got this absolute twonk, Bali ESO, who tried to take a swing at. Left a comment on my Battlefield teamwork video, timestamped and all smoke. 0.56 is some prime pot calling kettle, super savable squad mate, pushes out like a dafty. I said, yeah, I legged it outdoor like a dafty. Got dropped a few seconds later by someone sharper. That's Battlefield. You make moves. Sometimes they're dumb, sometimes they win games. Difference is, I show it. I don't cherry pick highlight reels to pretend I'm untouchable. IKD, low IQ, ain't about never dying. It's about never learning. See, that's bit people miss. I play to unwind. I short mess ups, misfires, failed pushes, cause that's game. It's chaos, it's messy, and it's real. You want polished montages? Go watch someone who's got a marketing team. I'll be over here running face first into grenades with a grin, cause I'm in it for fun, not fantasy. And honestly, I'd love to see these IKD heroes stripped to their toys. No aim assist, no SBMM safety net, no cheating, no movement exploits, just raw gunplay, clean servers, an actual challenge. See who's left standing when tech crutches get kicked out. Cheers for the question, Ferganell. Proper good in that. On we go. Jack Left Arm 427 asks, hey Scotty, you've mentioned before that you have health issues that affect gaming for you. I don't know if I've missed it, but what issues do you have and how do they affect your gaming experience? Do you use Xbox Adaptive Controller? You didn't miss it, mate. I just don't talk about it. I'm not here swinging for sympathy subs or drumming up pity watch time. I'm here to roast industry, call out bollocks, maybe drop a few truth bombs along the way. But since you asked proper, and you've clearly been paying attention, I'll share what I will. I've got one hand, that's it. Left side still running on factory settings, but right might as well be running on Windows Vista. Can't hold a controller properly, can't grip worth a toss, feels like I'm trying to play with someone else's hand. An accident back in 2001 buggered it. Nerves, tendons, completely severed. Crushed carpal tunnel for good measure. Surgeons patched it up and made it look normal, but that's cosmetic, like painting over rot in the floorboard. So what do? I use a PowerA Fusion Pro 3 controller, programmable back buttons and map for jump and fire. I don't use Xbox Adaptive Kit, not against it, brilliant kit for those who need it, but I've made my own setup work for now. I rest controller on my leg, guide thumbsticks with my right hand as best I can, do rest with my left. Not pretty, but it works. Now layer in fact that I'm mostly deaf on right side, spent my younger days working clubs, behind bars, DJ booths, speakers screaming into me ear, no protection. Nobody told me what tinnitus was until it knocked on my cochlea like a debt collector. Let that be a PSA. If you're in high decibel jobs and skipping ear protection, you're not tough, just booking future regrets. Eyes? Yeah, those are booked too. Shot in eye with a toy arrow as a kid. Right side again. Lost a good chunk of my sight in that one, and those toy balls got binned faster than a Bethesda bug report. Now it's just usual degeneration and crap vision. We're all on top at rest. Throw in no aim assist and a standard controller, I'm basically playing with a blindfold and one shoe. But I still drop into matches, still hold me on, still have a good time. One thing that ties it all together in worse way is sleep apnea. CPAP helps, but not always. I've got other conditions that sometimes make even that useless. So if I'm not making videos, or not as sharp in game, probably cause I've had alt sleep or a new parent on meth. But here's a bit that'll stink twonks. IKD, low IQ crew. With all that going on, I'm still here. still playing, still winning matches with me lads, still showing real footage, still running circles around highlight reel merchants who wouldn't last 5 seconds without the training wheels. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jack. That's more than I usually share. Appreciate respectful ask. Let's crack on. Benjamin48 asks, hey Scotty, what's your favourite Pokemon game? Easy. Pokemon Colosseum on GameCube, no hesitation. That game had grip. While everyone else were bouncing around grassy fields catching Pidgeys and naming them after X's, Colosseum dropped you into Ore region, a blasted desert full of thugs, thieves and shadow-walked Pokemon that looked like they'd claw your eyes out if you gave them a berry. You didn't start as some plucky little 10-year-old skipping off to become very best. You were a former villain, turning rogue on your own gang, nicking their tech and legging it with 2 genetically engineered psychic foxes, Espeon and Umbreon. That was your starter team. No fluff, no forest critters, just 2 mood-lit killing machines on a revenge tour. That's how you open a Pokemon game, not by choosing between Fire Lizard, Wet Turtle and Grass Salad. Then there's Team Snag'em, antagonists, proper nasty bastards. Instead of just fainting Pokemon, they were snagging them, stealing corrupted creatures from enemy trainers and purifying them. It wasn't just battling, it were Pokemon rehab with knuckle dusters. Felt like you were doing something important. It's a darker Tech-Comp franchise that never got love it deserved. No gyms, no filler towns full of weird NPCs asking if you like shorts. Just a tight story-driven campaign with proper moral weight behind your choices. And it had scale. Animations? Cinematic for its time. Music? Banging. Battles felt like actual showdown, not turn-based tea party. I played plenty of Pokemon over the years. Not a hardcore fan, more a casual enjoyer with tactical bent. But Colosseum always stuck. Tone, setting, soundtrack, all felt like grown-up version of the franchise too afraid to age with its audience. And now you got me tempted to dig it out again, dust off old GameCube, maybe throw it on a stream for a laugh. Or better, mod visuals and crank it through Dolphin just to see those shadow Pokemon snarl in HD. Just for nostalgic gut punch, Benjamin. Top draw pick. Next. Pyro-friendly arsonist 9195 asks, what's your thoughts on Delta Force? So far it's meh. Right there with you, mate. Meh, being generous. I jumped into it on PC, ran rounds, poked every corner, pushed every button, and all I got out of it were a distinct sense of deja vu and buyer's remorse without even spending a penny. One of those games that feels like it were made in a lab with focus group checklist instead of passion-fueled dev team. Got all pieces on paper, tactical shooter, open maps, squad options, realistic lean and peak system. Sounds good, right? But second you actually get hands-on, it's like chewing stale crackers. Dry, uninspired, somehow still manages to crumble in all wrong places. Gunplay? Feels like firing Nerf darts underwater. Movement sluggish, weightless, and AI in PvE might as well be helium-filled scarecrows. PvP's no better. Mix of campers, confused rookies, and one guy speed hacking like he's late for a dentist appointment. Just no soul to it. No hook. No, just one more round feeling. You walk away from it, forget you ever played it. Like a flat pint in a pub that smells like urinal. And foundation's there, but polish in. And passion? Listen. Feels like one of those reboot cash-ins, where someone bought Right St. Name and forgot to pack gameplay. Now look, maybe they'll patch it, maybe they'll reinvent it, but right now, it's a placeholder with a name slapped on it. And unless they pull a rabbit out at Dev Art, it'll fade into that bargain bin graveyard with rest at forgettables. So yeah, your meh rings true. Thanks for the question, Pyro. You nailed it in 4 words. I just shouted it for 2 minutes. Next, Aaron Imbanol asks, hey Scotty, I was wondering about what you really thought about XDefiant since games servers went offline. Do you think there should be more games like it or more slop akin to Call of Duty? P.S. Love you dunking on those no lives on Metacritic. Really makes my day, man. Please make more. It were fantastic, mate. Flat out brilliant. One of the most genuinely fun shooters I've played in years. XDefiant had soul. It had guts. It had that raw boots-on-ground chaos we used to take for granted before SPMM algorithms and Battle Pass spreadsheets took over every design meeting. Nah, Ubisoft binned it. Dead. Gone. Just like every bit of trust they hadn't already taught with the usual blend of creative bankruptcy and executive lunacy. Since then, I've boycotted their old bloody catalogue, same as I have with Call of Duty. I've got more respect for a wet sock than I do for Ubisoft's commitment to player communities. And here's the thing, XDefiant wasn't as bad as 8 made it seem. Not even close. Most of that backlash was second-hand garbage from streamers who couldn't hack it. Second SBMM was stripped away, their god-tier gameplay collapsed like a Poundland camping chair. And when they got exposed, tried to spin it. Oh, it's too easy, it's not challenging enough. Bollocks, mate! You can hear anxiety in the voices. It's like they're trying to convince themselves more than anyone else. They started blabbering about stats and matchmaking and all this abstract guff to hide the fact that they got slapped around by average Joes who weren't kneecapped by fake balance mechanics. And I laughed. I laughed hard. Because XDefiant showed us what gaming could be when you actually let skill rise without algorithmic interference. So yeah, we need more games like that. Desperately. If I had funding, I'd build one myself. There's a market for this stuff that's being ignored because publishers are too scared to admit their matchmaking puppetry is only thing keeping their precious influencers relevant. If a studio steps up and captures even half of what made XDefiant tick, I'll be there. First in line, wallet out, promo running, full support. Because community's there, demand's there. We're just waiting for someone with a backbone to give us what we want. And as for that Metacritic video, yeah, I remember that. Felt good dragging those basement-dwelling keyboard warriors through mud. Might be time for a sequel. There's always more twonks to roast. And you can bet they've left a fresh trail of nonsense waiting to be dissected. Thanks for the question, Aaron. Here's hoping a dev out there is listening and gets message. Let's roll on. One more to go. 9012 Ginger Roar asks, hey Scotty, what exactly makes you disagree with online safety act? I watched your recent video on it and I don't understand. I think it was one of the best acts passed in UK, no doubt. Side note, where's XDefiant content? Love from France. Good question, mate, and credit to you for actually asking instead of foaming at mouth like half at cowardly lefties who treat this act like second coming at Magna Carta. Online Safety Act ain't entirely evil. At face value it sounds normal. Protect kids online. Prevent them from seeing things they shouldn't. Stop predators. Everyone with a working conscience agrees on. But if you look deeper, really look, not just read press bullet points, execution is a steaming pile of bureaucratic arse gravy. Verify your age when you're clearly underage and trying to buy booze, meds, or a gory film, no problem. That's been law for decades. I used to love getting ID'd in my mid-30s, took years off me. But this online system, completely different beast. They're trying to slap a digital bouncer on every website and the forgotten part where bouncer needs your name, face, address, and blood type just to let you into the world's shoddiest pub. And what happens when kids use VPNs to bypass it? UK's response? Ban VPNs for minors. Genius! Because teenagers have never used tech they weren't supposed to. You know what will really happen? They'll keep using them. And only way to truly enforce that ban? Block VPNs completely across the UK. Think about that. No more secure browsing. No more location privacy. No protection from data harvesting ISPs. Thousands of professionals, journalists, security experts, activists, even your average Joe who don't want Tesco ads following them to the bog. All collateral damage. Now, big red flag, forced ID verification. Every time you want to use a site that's regulated, you're expected to dox yourself. People say, well, you give your details to social media, your bank, your ISP. Yeah, but that's choice. I chose that provider. I chose that platform. I entered that agreement. But when I'm told I have to hand over ID to use Wikipedia, get out my face. I'm never giving them my details. Never bloody will. I'll find info elsewhere. Google, YouTube, I'm already doing business there. Got accounts, channels, aliases, history. Fine, I agree to that. But this is forcing people to register with companies they never picked. Just access information that's already free. Now thanks. Loads of people use these services without signing in. That'll vanish overnight if this is how it's going to be done. And let's not kid ourselves. Darker corners of the internet. Still out there. Still unregulated. Still free of these filters. Anyone who knows how to use a browser properly can find them. So who are you really hurting? Not predators, not scammers, just everyday users who want to browse in peace without handing over a passport scan to look at cheat codes or walkthrough. This old thing should have started with holding parents accountable. If your kid's playing GTA at 10 years old, that's your fault. If your kid's watching adult streamers or using open chat rooms unsupervised, that's on you. Parental controls exist. Router level blocks exist. Parental responsibility exists. Use them. If you can't be asked to learn how to use your own internet, maybe don't let your kid run wild on it. I've said it before, I'm a big advocate for protecting kids. Always have been. If this act were targeted at sites that actually need it, brilliant. Pornhub, OnlyFans, gambling sites, bloody national lottery, fine. Add verification there. But this system spreads it across everything. And worse, it lets parents off hook while pretending it's some grand protective shield. And I'll give you an example from my own house. My son's 20, grown man, legal adult. He got blocked by an age verification prompt on a site he uses all the time. I tested it. I used my face. Passed instantly. Full access granted. Then a rank company told him what happened, and fair play, they listened and sorted his account properly. But that proves flaw. Parents will do this. They'll fake ID. They'll unlock access. Just like they already let the kids play rated 18 while they scroll TikTok in another room. Kids will fake it. Kids will use VPNs. They'll do what they've always done. Art-smart system built by people who still use an AOL email. And don't even get me started on Roblox. All noise about safety and that cesspit still runs 24/7 with microtransactions, predators and unmoderated chat system. But nah, let's crack down on Wikipedia instead. It's twist though. If it did work, great. COD would have to stop vomiting rainbow puke in every loadout screen. Influencers would be forced to rework their entire content strategy since they couldn't bait kids with bright skins and clickbait anymore. Gaming could actually evolve into something healthier. But that result could be achieved by making parents do their job and properly enforcing existing ratings. GTA 6 will lose sales if age verification is sorted right. That's not a maybe. Xbox is doing something close to smart with this. If you're not verified as over 18, social features get blocked. Now take that idea and go further. If an account is under 15, block all access to age-rated games. Not per session, not per warning, full block. Done. Steam's planning to tighten this too. Not just restrict purchase, but block visibility or adult content. That's how you do it. New ISPs in UK already block adult content by default. Always have. Want it unlocked? Prove your age. Simple, clean, secure. Works. What don't work is forcing everyone, including adults, to submit their details to a centralised database run by some third-party verification firm you didn't even know existed until 5 minutes ago. And none of this replaces the thing that actually works. Parenting. Online Safety Act, as passed in 2023, could have been somewhat great. But way it's being rolled out under Labour, cross line. Become a bloated centralised overstep that needs a serious re-evaluation. And just to close the loop, XDefiant content's gone cause game's gone. Ubisoft pulled plug and we the torch one at best FPS hopes we've had in years. No content to make, no lobbies to queue, all we've got now is memories and receipts. Just for questions in draw. Hope I answered that properly. If you need more depth, I'll happily do a full cyber profile video on it. Done a few already, Scotty tone. Might even do a more educational one, if audience can handle it. And that's a bloody lot for this round. Massive thanks to everyone who threw a question into pit this week. DroneNet, Asian Persuasion, Birkin-L1, Jack Left Arm 427, Vengeance 48, Pyro Friendly Arsonist 9195, Aaron Imbonell, and 9012 Ginger Raw. You legends brought heat, laughs, and landmine. This is what Scotty is all about. Cracking up an industry and dragging out truth with a steel-toed grin. So as always, open, out goes. Got a question about a game, industry, tech, or even how I drink my coffee? Throw it in. It might just end up featured in the next episode and immortalised in digital chaos. Join Discord, follow on X, consider a channel membership if you want to see more of this unfiltered filth. Smash like it, subscribe, drop your comments and questions below, especially if they're spicy, deranged, or designed to get me kicked off another dev mailing list. I'll see you next time, you magnificent